see here. We got everything going. We're already a week late. Okay. All right. Food, tea, beers, SmackDown. Everything's ready to go. Let me go ahead and let me get Colin. Oh, what the hell? Oh. Kane, bro.
How dare you interrupt the civilians of the Maharaja?
What? Oh, God, what is it this week?
This is not about a week. This is about the lay of life. We have a new and important WWE champion, the Maharaja JinderMania. And I am his humble servant.
You're what now?
The gay quality of life. Everything the Maharaja says we must do. I will live in his kind of lifestyle. I will be his kind of lifestyle. I will forever own that lifestyle. For the Maharaja.
Really? Everything?
Never interrupted.
Everything?
Yes.
Every single part of it? Every little itty bitty bit?
Every bit.
You realize, of course, that means you're going to have to, let me get this right here. You're going to have to give up this.
Grandpa's favorite secret food.
I mean, if you want to, you can, but I'm going to enjoy me some pizza, because Jinder's faith, man, you can't eat pork, and pepperoni falls under pork, so sausage, bacon, Italian sausage, side pork, pork belly. So you want to rethink this, maybe a little bit?
Okay, maybe I stepped over bounds a little.
Maybe a little bit.
I'm gonna have to mull it over.
Okay.
Until then, let's get it kicking. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Kane Super Hot Snook, and that's my man over there from New Orleans, Comment the Favorite Saint, and welcome to Off the Ropes! Once again, thank you for that awesome intro that we have there. Welcome back to Off the Ropes. I'm your man, Kane Super Hot Snooker, and I got my man over there from Knowledge, Copy the Faded Saint. And in this case, we have another super packed pay-per-view month. This is going to be a long year if we're going to have to keep doing this, because right now we're on 2 pay-per-views, and while we're recording this, next week is another pay-per-view. So we're already back to back with that, and we're going to go ahead and talk about right now our 2 pay-per-views that just happened, which is Payback and Backlash, SmackDown and Raw's exclusive pay-per-views. We're going to talk about the grades, we're going to talk about the what the hells, and we also have a little bit of announcement when it comes to NXT TakeOver shows. But otherwise, Kami, how you feeling, baby?
I'm feeling great. I'm sorry that we're a week late, guys. The last week just got to be a lot was going on last week. I got caught completely unaware with just a multitude of stuff, and we're a week late, and we're running up against because now we've got yet another pay-per-view this weekend, and Extreme Rules, and but a lot has happened since then. A lot has happened. Oh, God, so much has happened. And yes, we've got a little bit of an announcement as far as NXT is concerned, but that will come right before the break. But before we get to that, we have a pay-per-view, which is the Raw branded pay-per-view that was Payback. And, of course, we always have our pre-cook show, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. We had the team of Enzo and Cass, the realest jobbers in the room, versus Machine Gun Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, the Club.
Club.
Club. And
I just want to know why we even talk about these pre-shows anymore. I feel like they're just, there's really no effect to them. They don't potentially take care of any effective parts of the storyline. I feel like they just did that so that way they can give Renee Young and the cast a little bit of a break before the big pay-per-view happens. That's how I look at it.
If it's not, Enzo and Cass won this, didn't they?
Yeah. Like, and Enzo is actually wrestling now.
Was he?
Yes.
Because Enzo doesn't. That's his thing. He doesn't wrestle. Enzo's kind of a clown.
Yeah,
which I feel bad because I've actually watched the Monday after WrestleMania WWE 24, where Enzo and Cass were talking about how hard it was coming up. How Cass was told the only reason he wasn't fired was because he was 7 feet tall, and which is where part of that comes from, and how Triple H personally bound Enzo and gave him to see them used as clowns like this. It's like, wow. Especially now that the current storyline is who beat up Enzo. Was it Renee Young?
Well, now we're jumping now, but it's still an important thing to see that we're seeing some aggression going on with Enzo. And if it is going to be a singles push that's going to happen soon, better get him ready then.
I've said it. I've said it many times. Cass needs to leave Enzo because Cass is better off without it. But that doesn't change the fact this was pre-cook by the numbers. That's what this was. Enzo and Cass over Club, who deserve so much better. They deserve so much better than what they're getting here.
Maybe next time they should just pull a rulebook for Sheamus and go work out with Triple H in the middle of the night. Maybe he will be the next tag teams to fight off the Hardy Boys. But
maybe. Yeah, and of course, also on the pre-show, we had the Miz TV featuring Finn Balor. This was fodder just to see Finn Balor beat up Miz. That's all it was. That's
pretty much. And the fact that he wasn't even on this pay-per-view except for a pre-cook interview says volumes.
Yep. By the way, the Intercontinental Championship was not defended on this pay-per-view. Dean Ambrose got the night off.
Yep. Oh,
we're just saying. But that will bring us into the pay-per-view proper. And the very first match, it was your champion, Kevin Owens, your United States champion, Kevin Owens, the face of America, versus Y2J, L'Oreal's favorite wrestler for possibly the last time for a while on the show, L2J. Chris Jericho.
Number one fan club made by her.
And he had a spangly leather light-up scarf. And this is a great way to start off the pay-per-view. This is a great start to the pay-per-view. These two lit it up.
They did.
And the story of this match, if you can believe it, was Kevin Owens' fingers. Because there was the fingers in the picture. There was the fingers that he just he poked into Chris Jericho's eyes to win the United States champion, and they were playing it up, and it was just basically all around his hand, because this match was Jericho got him in the walls and put him down into the walls, and Owens reached out and just barely got a finger on the rope, and so Jericho's like, I ain't having any of this, so he pulls him out, locks his hand behind one of the ring steps, and then just starts kicking the crap out of him, breaking his hand. And a lot of back and forth, a lot of, Kevin Owens doing his normal ranty stuff and yelling at people, ask him, when he had him in a submission. But much to the surprise of me and you, to the surprise of everyone, really, somehow Chris Jericho locks in the walls of Jericho, and because he had worked over that hand, it couldn't quite reach out a second time to get the ropes. And tap, 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 your new United States champion, Y2J, Chris Jericho. And then he lost it on SmackDown the following Tuesday.
Now, before SmackDown, so many people theorized that this is probably because Jericho was so successful happening in wrestling that past year that maybe he thought he wanted to extend himself before he really had to go on tour. But no, it got deflated when it happened on SmackDown. And I personally thought it was an awesome way to go. You give him the champion for one last time.
One last hurrah.
And you actually literally gave Jericho the traditional send-off, and that was on his back, and literally on his back, almost, I guess, in a stretcher in a way, because he really brutalized the crap out of him on SmackDown. He definitely said goodbye.
Kevin Owens got put over in a major way. Yeah. Like, it was really, really just wow, dude.
And apparently Kevin Owens likes to read the Donald Trump playbook, because weeks after that, he kept on bringing up how he destroyed Chris Jericho over and over again, even though we already know he won. So it was just funny to see that, especially when he used the Kevin Owens Tron 2000, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Just in remnants, it was a really good send off, and it was a shocker at the time, because we weren't expecting him to win. We were expecting KO to walk away with this, and this was going to be his last match for a while. And if anyone doesn't remember, it's because Jericho is going on tour with Fozzy, and that's the main reason why he is not going to wrestle for the next year, I would say. Possibly. But you know what? I feel like it was just a slew of great matches, starting with this one, and we got a nice one right afterwards. And that was a rematch, pretty much, for WrestleMania with. And I want to say, because they calls himself Double A, I want to say Arn Anderson. But we know it's Austin Aries.
It's A-Dubs.
But
A-Dubs versus Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship. And once again, this was a great match.
Yep.
I mean, they need to get some more people out there, because right now the only people on 205 Live are the people who are revolving around this thing. It's Neville and TJP.
And you see on Raw.
Yeah, and Neville and TJP and Austin Aries and Jack Gallagher. Johnny Gargano is about to come and save this division. And if they ever decide to quit screwing with Kalisto, maybe let him come and be a cruiserweight for a little while. Because we were talking about that the other night, weren't we?
We were.
Last night we were talking about it. How criminally underused, how criminally they used Kalisto as just basically cannon fodder, when he could go and be an actual contributing member to 205 Live and help save that brand.
They are trying so desperately to have a Rey Mysterio in the main roster.
Oh God, they want him to be Rey Mysterio so bad. I'm bringing it back.
He's getting thicker too. He looks like he's starting to become what Rey Mysterio was in like 2005 when it comes to body weight and look, which is why I was telling you, I'm not surprised if that guy's like 210, 220, which is why he's on 215 Live.
I don't think they care. They fudge some of those weights anyway.
Yeah, I would think so, because Tony Nese is, no way is he 205. That man looks like he's soaking wet 300. But we'll digress. But because the match was fantastic.
It was a technical match. It was a technical dream, is what it was. It absolutely was.
And the best part is, it showed some serious, at the time at least. I mean, they definitely slowed it down recently, but they definitely showed some bold moves with like the face plant into the barricade and the head smashing that just looked so like devastatingly concerning. These were all happening in this match, making it almost as scary as hell. His last chance where he looks so flawless half the time in these things. So this is just all around like a technical joygasm. I feel like that was the big deal here.
Oh, and the payoff where Neville intentionally gets himself disqualified so that he saves his title sets us up for the match that's coming this Sunday, which is the submission match. It is the Last Chancery versus the Rings of Saturn. I'm actually very happy they didn't come up with a cute new name for it.
Yeah.
It's the Rings of Saturn. It will always be the Rings of Saturn. It was a great match. Quite honestly, this might have been the match of the night had the next match not happened. And
because let's face it, I think the only way, actually, you know what, to be honest with you, the match was okay. I think the ending was the important part of it. And I'll let you intro this right here, because it's a very important match.
Well, of course, we are talking about Team Extreme, the Hardy's Boys, Reborn by Fate, versus Shane Zaro. And, oh my God, this was a brutal-ass match, wasn't it? Sheamus kicked one of Jeff Hardy's teeth out of his head.
May I add, that's probably the only major highlight I would say in that match that was good for me. Like that whole moment, the fact that happened. I think I was more involved with this match after what happened in the match. Like when the pinfall happened, after the pinfall.
I mean, it was your typical stuff. It was typically Cesaro and Sheamus being a clubber, Cesaro being the insane guy that he is, Jeff Hardy jumping around, and Matt deleting everything, and it was chaos in motion. Even though I want to say this was a ladder match, but it wasn't. It was just a regular match, wasn't it? Am I right? It was a regular match, right?
It was. It wasn't. I think. I mean, obviously, based on the forecasting, it's a slow build. We, obviously they're slowing this up so that way it could be pent up into Extreme Rules, pretty much the home world of the Hardys when it comes to Extreme. So, they definitely are making this rivalry last a little longer than normal. But it definitely was well worth it because the caveat the resolution that happened.
And it's been one-sided. It has been decidedly one-sided.
Yeah. And
the
also,
Hardys are going.
Not to cut you off, I don't mean to do that, but I feel like this point needs to be made. I feel like they have the biggest finisher security going on right now. I want to know who they bought. What insurance did they buy that gives them finisher security? Because no matter what they do, if the Swanton hits or the Twist of Fate hits, boom, 1, 2, 3. There is no middle ground, false finish.
Their finishers are protected.
Yeah, serious on that.
And they were kicking out of all of Shamzaro's best stuff. And like I said, we're saying this a week after many weeks after the fact. This feud is still going on, and it's still one-sided. But a lot of it also stems from what happened here because Twist of Fate, Swanton Bomb, Hardys retain over Shamzaro, and there's like the handshake, and then Shamzaro lose their shit.
Yeah,
they just beat the
lost. Like done lost it.
Like if they hadn't already like kicked one of Jeff Hardy's teeth out, that just made it even more brutal, and it was just one of those things where it was like, oh my god. It was a brutal ass beating, and it was the official heel tone. We knew it was coming. But it was great. But ever since then, it's been all Hardys. Ever since, it's been all Hardys, no matter what they're doing.
Up security level 10.
Well, that probably means that Shamzaro is going to pull it out at the next pay-per-view.
I would hope so. I really do.
If not, what is the purpose of this? You could have plugged in Club here, who has no heat, and wouldn't have been. You could have kept the Shining Stars on Raw and
the Colognes.
At least they're getting a better shake over on SmackDown.
I agree.
Kind of.
They're at least getting some value out of it.
But heel Cesaro, Sheamus was really always a heel. I dig it. The Hardys walk away with the titles, which brings us into the next match. Now I know what you guys are about to say. You're about to say, Kami, there was something that happened in between this match and the next match that you're about to say. No, we're going to cover that all at once. We're going to get all of that after the next match, because the actual next match that happened, the actual whole match, I guess you would call it, was Alexa Bliss versus Bayley for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. And here was the thing. The whole thing was, this is Bayley's whole town. She's going to do this in front of her friends, in front of her father. This is her dream. And Alexa Bliss was being very Alexa Blissy about the whole thing. And it was
Miss Bliss.
It was a fairly well-contested match. I mean, it was a little bit of a doubt, but, after the brutal Hardy, Shamzaro, and the insanity that happened in between this match and the last match, this was a pretty good match. It was basically it was back and forth right up until the point that Bayley went headfirst into one of the poles, and I don't know what's the problem with the Sparkle Splash is, but they seem to be really, really trying to get Alexa Bliss to get that DDT she does over.
Oh yeah, well that's because she looks like she does it so dangerously.
She does.
I feel like somebody's gonna get very, very hurt with it, and if that's her mastering it, then kudos.
That kickstart DDT there, and to the surprise, quite frankly, of many of us, Alexa Bliss walked out as your WWE Raw Women's Champion, the first woman to hold both titles.
Yes.
And goddamn, Couldn't have happened to a nicer lady. I'm glad that it wasn't something like Charlotte winning back over on SmackDown and going with the predictable. Charlotte's already had too many title reigns. We need to dial back the title reigns on Charlotte. Charlotte doesn't get another title reign until WrestleMania next year. I love her, but nope.
Same thing with Sasha.
Same thing with Sasha. Absolutely. That's why they've got her working 205 Live with Rich Swann right now.
Swan.
Oh, God. It was great psychology. It was a great match. I love the fact that the heel went over the face. You have anything to add to that? I mean, it was really just a really straightforward kind of.
I think I enjoyed more of the aftermath on Raw with her winning the title than her winning the title that night, because she got all the women into the center of the ring, gloated like a beast, made Bayley look like some has-been. And it was like that's enough. And then Bayley just went just pulled her off from the little top thing she was on and just started wailing at her. So I love how that whole I feel like Alexa Bliss is a really good mic master. So I feel like that's just that's why she's the champion. She knows how to sell. She knows how to ring it. And God, we need a decent heel. Women, I know Charlotte was a good heel, but I feel like she was the too much Ric Flair-ish heel.
Yeah, but here's the problem.
Deal with it.
But here's the problem with that, and I like Alexa as a heel, but this whole Bayley is a child thing has got to go. It has got to go. That is a grown-ass woman. And yes, she's a hugger, but the whole, you're a kid, you're to let the adults play thing, that's played. Okay, let's stop that. And that's what leads to bullshit like we had to put up with last night with the Bayley, this is your life crap. Now, we're not going to talk too much about it except to say it happened, and it is quite possibly the worst segment of the last 20 years of Raw. I'm dead serious. It was that bad. And Alexa was a good soldier, and she went out there and she tried to make it work, but nope, it wasn't going to work. No one was going to make that work. That was a god-awful segment. I walked out 5 minutes into it because I knew where it was heading. And from what I heard and what I was doing, it was just no. It was all around nope.
Pretty much.
Oh, God, it was so horrible. You know I'm stalling, right?
I know you are.
Because you know what we have to talk about next.
I know you do.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's just get it at the ready here. You know what's happening, guys.
Just accept it.
Come on. Open up. Takes my pain away, man. This was so bad. This was so god-awful. It was laughably god-awful. And, of course, we are talking about the not for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship House of Horrors match. Randall Q. Orton versus Bray Wyatt. Oh my God.
I don't even think you need to even all right, folks.
What is this?
Here's the deal. We know you probably watched all the pay-per-views. We know you probably watched the shows, and you get a sense of all that information already. I feel like you come to us to hear how we feel about it, how we comment on the whole situation, how we reflect the universe around us with the WWE going. And this is one of those things where we need to chime in because, let's face it, the House of Horrors was just bloody, brilliant, stupid. I couldn't stop laughing on how horrible it reminded me of. Me and Kami were going tit for tat on what this actually represented. At one point, I said this reminded me of if you were never a wrestling fan, and I sat you down, and before I pressed play, before this whole thing started, I told you that Randy Orton is dating a woman who had a baby's daddy with Bray Wyatt, and Randy Orton found out that he hasn't been paying child support for years, and Randy is just going over there to get the money that he rightfully owes for his baby that Randy Orton's new girlfriend has. And it turns out that Bray has a violent history and doesn't like resistance when it comes to that kind of stuff. So when you go over there, expect a big fight and then hit play. And that person could believe you because how crazy this House of Horrors was supposed to be. That is how insane I thought this was going to be. It's just like you don't even have to explain the concept that this is a wrestling match. You could literally tell somebody that exact story and genre, and they would believe you because it was that crazy.
I don't. No. I mean, dear God. This is the type of match which makes you ashamed to be a wrestling fan. I mean, it starts off as a pre-taped thing.
Do you agree? Do you agree?
No,
with
I
me?
I agree. Like it's just so batshit out of there. Like I was watching as I normally do with Fest and Mims, and it was just like, oh, okay, what's happening? I don't understand. Like, why are we ruining Bray's house? Why Bray? You're gonna have to come back home and clean all that up. People on Reddit found that house before the pay-per-view was even done. Like, they found where the house actually is, and they posted pictures of it. Like
before the match happened, or after?
No, like right after the recording, because they fight in a house and then Bray pushes over a fridge on Randy, and then he gets into Randy's limo and goes to the freaking arena. And so in that time, and between that time and the Alexa Bliss match, this fucking. They're like on Reddit, like, and like all of a sudden it's like, by the way, that house is actually in Missouri, when they were supposed to be like in freaking Dallas or wherever, and it was just like, oh man, really? Mm-hmm. and of course, Bray.
We're not even gonna touch the reindeer sled fucking limousine that apparently Bray got in, because how the hell do you even go from even Texas to California? And
that was the other thing. It was dark when they did the House of Horrors, and they've got literally Dave Meltzer is sitting there, and Brian Alvarez is sitting there on their Twitter. It's like, I just looked out the window. It's bright as fucking hell outside. Like, it just didn't make any sense. And so Bray gets to the ring, and then Randy Orton just shows up, and there's a fight. Jinder comes out of nowhere, and Bray won, and this was the
No. You're not gonna just briefly say Jinder came in and not talk about how this is not the best build-up you could ever ask for what's gonna happen in Backlash a few weeks later. Because let's face it, he didn't just come out there and say, "Hey, I'm Jinder Mahal. What's up?" He went out there and assaulted.
Oh no, he and the Singh brothers, the former Bollywood boys, came out there and they beat the ever-loving crap out of him. And Bray got the Sister Abigail in the win. And this is all because Jinder won a match to make him the number one contender. Jinder, the guy who 5 weeks previous was Jobber Guy on Raw, who 2 months previous was freaking he was freaking Rusev's sidekick.
Hashtag don't hinder the Jinder.
Don't hinder the Jinder. But I mean, this was stupid. This was stupid all the way around. It did no one any favors. I mean, I guess at least it wasn't like the stupid insect projector stuff at WrestleMania, but and just the fact
I'm just glad it's over. I'm just glad that whole feud is over.
Me too. Just the fact that they were like, "Hey, he's going to bring the Universal title over," and then it's like, they very quietly were like, "We're gonna just not have the title on the line." Why? We don't want to.
We want him to win, but we don't want him to take the title of Raw.
Okay. But he gets a rematch. No.
Apparently that's a rule now, where if you go to a different show, you lose your forfeit your rematches.
Oh, that is bullshit. Yeah. Let's talk about the next match. Let's get past this bullshit. I'm done with it.
We got plenty of Jinder Mahal commentary later down in Backlash.
And but of course, the next match was the Kingslayer Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe. Somebody call Armis, cause he's got the meats.
Can we say this was actually the most underwhelming match of the night?
Yeah, I expected more out of this match.
Seth freaking Rollins and the Destroyer Samoa Joe pretty much have a panty fight.
It went about 5 minutes too long, And
of course, Seth Rollins' new finisher, the roll-up, came in successfully.
Did they? I thought they haven't named it yet. I thought it's basically, for those of you who are familiar with the finisher from New Japan Pro Wrestling, the Rainmaker. It's basically that with a kick.
No, I mean that may be his finisher.
Oh no, that's right. No, that's right. The roll up. Roll-ups have been making a comeback. Like there was 3 roll-ups on SmackDown last
Seth
week.
Rollins' finisher. That's his finisher.
He got a surprise roll-up on Joe after Joe like spent the entire contest beating the shit out of his legs.
Exactly.
And like Joe was surprised. I mean, it was like meh. It was like so meh. And I guess we needed meh considering what we were about to get next. Mm-hmm. Seth over Joe. Joe gets revenge on Raw the next night and beats the crap out of him and has beat the crap out of him in every Raw sense because it's not over till he says it's over. Because Samoa Joe's got the meats. Bum, 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 bum. I know. I'm going hard with the Arby jokes. For those of you that don't know, I had an artist friend of mine make an actual picture of Samoa Joe eating an Arby's burger because I read in a Tumblr thread that Samoa Joe's music reminds them of the Arby's theme, and I could just never unsee that now.
Well, you know what? That kind of reminds me of the time when I was watching Botchamania. It was many years ago, and it was the first time Samoa Joe came out with that song in NXT, and they did a scene where Stewie Griffin from The Family Guy was like, "Watch what I do, Brian. Watch what I do," and it was that scene when he carries a tuba. And while the fat people are walking, he gets behind them with the tuba to make it sound like they're waddling with the fat sounds. But what they do is they dub that out and they put Samoa Joe's music in. Burn, burn, burn. Burn, burn, as these fat people walking around behind it. Dun, 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 burn, burn. I always associate that song to heavy people now. So I can see why that Arby's joke is great.
Yeah. But that does bring us, in fact, to the last match of the night, which was Braun Strowman. Hey, Braun, who's your favorite wrestler? Shawn Michaels. I could keep. I've got like a million of those jokes, but so I'll stop. Versus Roman Reigns.
What's his favorite movie?
Tron. What's your favorite?
That or it could be Dawn of the Dead.
That too. Hey, Braun, you want to come over this weekend? I can't. I have to do my lawn. What's your favorite seafood? Man. Prawns.
Too much.
Too much. Anyway, so this was a match, and this was a pretty damn crazy freaking match. It was just basically just the brutalization of Roman Reigns. So
I'm just so happy. I know this is this is a commentary show, so we're not really spoiling anything for anybody, but I'm just glad Roman didn't win.
Yeah, Roman didn't win. We thought he was going to win, but he walked out and he was like all bandaged up because the build-up to this match was he had beat the ever-loving crap out of Roman Reigns, in the most ridiculous backstage segment that you could ever think happened.
I've ever asked for, by the way, because I haven't seen those in forever, and that was just great. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I couldn't care if it was bad. It was so good to me. It just cleansed my soul. And of course, the recap for everybody, he beat the crap out of Roman during an interview with Michael Cole, crapped the fuck out of him, not beat the crapped the fuck out of him. And then while he was being put on the stretcher, out of nowhere, out of context, from the camera, off the side, I didn't done with you yet, blah, blah, blah. It just looked like he was beating his dick right on the freaking fucking medical thing. And then that didn't stop, because once he was done with that, all of a sudden he went, I'm not done with you still. And he pushes Roman Reigns off in the gurney, off the edge of one of those pylon areas.
Like a loading bay.
Yeah, and of course we all know that wasn't a legit thing. That was like a fakie. But I digress. Still funny. And then
they put him in the ambulance and they flip over the ambulance.
Yeah, and he flips over the ambulance. It was just great. It was just great. Great. I really, really am pissed that he broke his arm that night or whatever the hell happened, and now we have to deal with no. So
And then so this match was a bunch of hope spots for Roman, and then Braun just smacking him down. A bunch of hope spots for Roman, and then Braun just smacking him down. And there were a lot of points where I thought they were going to give Roman the win, and it was going to come back, and that was going to be the thing. But no, they finally gave Braun the monster victory that he is in the main event. I would like to point out, as many of you will probably see, the absence of something really important to this brand. You'll notice that we said at the beginning there was no IC belt defense. You notice any other belt that hasn't shown up tonight? Because Brock doesn't work these piss-ass pay-per-views. At any rate, having gone through that, so there's that, and apparently Roman waddles off, and you go to the pre-show, or you go to the post-show, and, like, I was in my car, so I didn't see this when Kane, like, I'm sitting at a stoplight, and Kane's like, I hope I'm not the only one watching the post-show right now. And so I get home, and I watch it, and, like, Roman is like, no, I don't need any help. And he's, like, coughing up blood and stuff. And then, like, they're, like, trying to get him to the ambulance, and they open the door, and he's leaning up against the door, and you just hear, I'm not finished with you! And then you see Roman jump out of the way. Like, you remember how we were talking about...
the video game button.
You know what it was? It was like WrestleMania 2 years ago. The Undertaker on that table and Shane jumping off, and the Undertaker, nope.
Yeah.
Roman just looked at that coming. He was like, nope. And literally, Braun Strowman just comes running through the frame and then takes the freaking ambulance door off with him.
And the fake boxes behind him.
It was insane.
But that's how he got injured, though, right?
He had some elbow issues, and then when they went in to go check the elbow, it turned out to be worse than they thought it was.
So they did this as the send off to get him out there.
I mean, they did it so they could write him off for a few weeks, but it turns out it's going to be more in a few weeks. But with that said, that brought our pay-per-view to a close. And what did you think of Payback?
Oh, well, it was, with the exception of just that one boring, unexpected match when it comes to the overall, like, Samoa Joe and Seth Rollins, I would say everything else was actually pretty on par. The thing is that the House of Horrors match, I think, is what's going to really sway my vote right now, because I thought it was ingeniously awesome and horribly stupid at the same time. Especially since if I had some friends that didn't watch wrestling, I would have just loved to have them see that one specific thing just to show them that it's just more than just two men fighting all the time. It's a story. So I'm gonna give that a pass and just say it was a B+ show.
This is gonna surprise you. I'm gonna say A.
Yeah, you're gonna go A?
I'm going to go A, and this is why I'm going to go A. This was so up until this point in the heads up, we've had the story of each branch. The story is SmackDown has a crap show on paper, but overperforms. Raw has a great show on paper and underperforms. This was the best Raw pay-per-view since the brand split, easily. And the House of Horrors match is really the only thing that I can say was a negative. But the positives more than made up for the negatives, especially that opening match with Jericho and KO. And just the over-the-top insanity of the finish and the post-show antics pushes it over for me. I'll easily say that this is because it's the first time I felt like Raw was trying to keep my attention. This is the first time I've actually felt like Raw really was really putting forth effort into it. Because they don't have Brock. Because for reasons beyond my freaking understanding, like Dean Ambrose was not on the show defending the Intercontinental Championship. But they still made it work. And yeah, they had to pull over Randy Orton from SmackDown, but whatever. A. I'll give it an A. And so...
All right. I just figured for pay-per-views, if you don't have the championship on the line, you can't give it an A. That's my rule. That's
fair enough. That's a fair enough rule, but I will excuse it this once. This is the only time I will give an A without your main championship on the line.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Because they put so much effort into it. You know, even the horrible House of Horrors match was a case of them trying too hard. It wasn't the case of them trying too little.
True. Very true.
So
very, very true.
So, and real quickly, before we go to the break, we need to talk about NXT TakeOver Chicago and NXT TakeOver in general. So, here's my deal. TakeOver was perhaps for the weekend because TakeOver Chicago happened the same weekend as Backlash. And it was probably the best wrestling of that weekend. There was some phenomenal wrestling on there. If you have not seen the match between Tyler Bates and the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne, it was the match of the weekend, contender for match of the year. The high work rate of wrestling can no longer excuse the piss-ass booking that has been going on in NXT.
Which is our announcement here too, folks. We're gonna hold back on a lot of information on NXT takeovers until unless it involves a circulation around the Big Four. So if Royal Rumble or WrestleMania or
there's just too much wrestling going on.
Pretty much.
It's freaking wrestling hangover right now. And like NXT TakeOver, in particular, the reason why I want to bring this up and why, to illustrate why I'm done with NXT, and just out of curiosity, Kane, do you recall when the last time a face won a championship on NXT TakeOver?
No, because it's a heel power plant.
It was August, Brooklyn 2, when Shinsuke Nakamura re-won the title. Now, equally, do you remember the last time more than one face won on an NXT TakeOver?
Sami Zayn, I think, was the last one.
Well, it was also NXT Brooklyn.
And Finn.
Yeah. Right. Because ever since then, for the last 7 months, it has been 4 heel wins to 1 face win on every single NXT TakeOver. And then on top of all of that, you have things that just little things that tick me off. That, you know, you've got all heels as your champions for over half a year. I like Bobby Roode. Authors of Pain are all right. I like Asuka, but they've sacrificed literally the entire division to her. So much so that in this last one, in TakeOver Chicago, she freaking pinned both of her opponents. Not separately, she pinned them both at the same time.
Yeah, no.
And I went 6 for 6 at TakeOver. And I know you guys are like, what do you mean 6 for 6? Because I called the freaking breaking up of Ciampa and Gargano. I knew it was happening, and they did it anyway. And it sucks because that's going to be a great angle to watch, but once again, it's just one too many times you guys have been yanking my chain. We don't get to have DIY on the main roster. No, we don't get that. No, Johnny Gargano's got to go and save the 205 Live because they don't know how to book that freaking show. And Ciampa's got to go along with it, so they've got a feud that's not over the title over there. So, nah. So, I'm done. Because it's like you said, it's a heel making factory, and why should I invest my time? There's 3 hours and some change of wrestling on Monday. There's 2 hours of wrestling that's starting right now as we're recording this. There's another hour after this on the network. There's another hour tomorrow for NXT. Plus there's whatever tournament bullshit that they're deciding to do this freaking week, which is in the UK and South America, like the Women's Championship, the Japan Championship, the tournament they're going to have over in India. And then on top of all that, you've got a freaking 3-hour pay-per-view twice a freaking month. It's too freaking much. It's too much.
I
Wow. I kind of went off there a little bit, didn't I?
Faded Saint, I'm just going to tell you right now, you need to pump the brakes. NXT will always be in my heart a great product. And in this case, I'm more for the fact that I just want to make sure we're not erratic. And I think that we need to stick to our guns here and say that when it comes to NXT, if it doesn't fall into the Big Four, we're gonna have some crazy super shows, because right now we would have to discuss 3 pay-per-views instead of 2, where when the big ones like SummerSlam and all that, which is a joint show, we have a little bit more time and wiggle room to talk about the takeovers. So that is my main setup. And so for someone who has the heel that runs this deal, I'm just a little shocked that you're against the whole idea of the heels winning. But otherwise, I understand.
I'm fine with the heels winning. I'm against every heel every championship being held by a heel for over 6 months. Because they're doing this. All of the champions.
Look at American Alpha, for example.
Exactly. All of their champions are undefeated. All of their champions have held their belts for over 6 months. That is stagnation. I am fine with heels winning the title, but you got to keep it. NXT is developmental. You got to keep it going. You got to keep it going. If you're gonna have Bobby Roode have a long title reign as your heel champion, Asuka's got to move over. But they're in love with the fact that they want Ember Moon to take that title off of Asuka, and they are not going to let anyone else have it. The only acceptable reason for the heels to have all of the title is if it's freaking Sanity having it, and they're running an angle. Yeah, exactly, and they're running an angle where we run NXT now. That is only acceptable, and now that's ruined because they've already done it. Day one is H. My day one is not H, thanks to NXT TakeOver Chicago. My day one is not H at all. And with that said, we got to cut this short. We got to get to the break because we got to get to the other pay-per-view on the side of this. So, coming up, we have got Backlash. Did we like it? Did we hate it? We have already talked very favorably about Payback, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can make it happen over on SmackDown. But until then, we will see you after the break.
See you soon, folks.
On behalf of myself, the Faded Saint, and Kane Super Snuka, we would like to thank All Around the Beats for our opening theme, Destruction. And we'd also like to thank Michette for our closing theme, Picnic at the Reactor. And this week, we have, well, quite frankly, is the match that we all want to see on SmackDown. A mashup of AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. This is by mashup GFX Gladiator TM. Phenomenally Rising. Enjoy.
Welcome back to Off the Ropes. I'm your boy, Kami, the Faded Saint. That is my boy, Kane Super. What? Snuka.
What?
And today, our episode is brought to you by the letter Q, as in Randall Q. Orton is ruining my liver. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop.
Is his real name Keith?
I don't care.
Well, let's get into that Backlash, yo.
Yeah, let's get into Backlash because we got a lot to unpack there. And, I mean, let's go ahead and let's start straight off with the pre-cook, which was Aiden English without his vaudevillains versus Ty Perfect 10 Dillinger.
For those who may not know, Aiden English is doing a solo mission because the other half of the vaudevillains is no longer with the WWE company.
Yeah, apparently he thought he was bigger than Stone Cold, and people didn't really like him. He'd gotten into a couple of scuffles. He got into a scuffle with Sin Cara, which, you know, we've gotten into a scuffle with Sin Cara at this point. And there was just a bunch of other things that have happened. Apparently he's got a bad attitude. Apparently he thought he was going to be Shinsuke Nakamura or something, and that was never going to happen. And that led us with the Drama King, as he is now calling himself. And I have to give him credit. He came down. He didn't have any theme music. He just sang his way down. He sang his way down, and Ty came out. And, well, Ty's got a better record now than he did on NXT. Thank God. Because it was a really just by the numbers match and tiebreaker, and he won. Huzzah. I mean, is there really anything else to add to that? It was the pre-cook match. What do you guys want?
You talking to me?
Did you really zone out that much for me talking about Aiden English and just what happened with Aiden and Simon and stuff?
I just couldn't care anymore because Simon Gosh was apparently a big dick, and that's all right with me. I told you I don't know why we're talking about pre-shows. I really don't.
If they're going to announce it, we will at least say it happens. Once or twice we've had some really good matches on the pre-show. Once or twice we have. But that being said, we also learned one really big trinket on the pre-show, and that was what our opening match was going to be. And of all of the things to put on the opening match, goddamn Shinsuke Nakamura versus Dolph freaking Ziggler was how we kicked off the pay-per-view proper. And I feel like they could have done better. I was really disappointed with this match. I mean, I feel like they could have, done a whole lot more with it. I mean, for Shinsuke's, with as much as they built up Shinsuke, he should have just run the crap through Dolph Ziggler. Like, am I wrong there? Kane?
What?
Are you paying attention, man?
I'm watching Shinsuke Nakamura right now. I don't know, man.
Well, we're talking about Shinsuke Nakamura, man. We're talking about the match with Dolph.
Well, I was kidding there, folks. I was just trying to cloud the fact that he's such a dreamy man. but no, in this case, here's my beef with this. They made Backlash around this guy. Like, this is his inaugural match. Everything's awesome. They made it the first match, and the match wasn't as sexy enough that I thought it was going to be.
No, it wasn't. It was really just kind of back and forth. Again, like I said, Shinsuke should have run through Dolph. Oh, there's Boring Corbin. Anyway, but he should have run through Dolph, and he should have just absolutely just, ripped it apart. Instead, it was more of a back and forth match, but Shinsuke apparently loses his shit at one point during the match and decides that he's had enough. Kinshasa. Shinsuke Nakamura, was there any freaking doubt that Shinsuke was going to win this match? No.
Maybe.
Yeah, for a second there, they may have thought us. But then...
I just thought maybe if they were going to do this heel that runs this deal stuff, they would have had it better.
I think they would have done a lot better, too. I think they would have done a whole lot better with it. But, I mean, it wasn't a bad match. It just wasn't the match they advertised. I'm going to get to see this match again this coming week when I go to SmackDown with... all I know is when it comes to Shinsuke Nakamura,
they need to make sure he has a really. I mean, like they tried really hard with what's his name, with Samoa Joe and I mean with Bobby Roode that they were going to make it hard for you to like really do anything about it.
They did, and
so in this case, anything that's going to happen with him.
I mean, you could argue that they're mishandling him insanely, and that's exactly what's happening here. They are just completely misusing him. Like, even as we're talking right now, I don't know what's happening because I've got it on mute, but I can only assume that Kevin Owens is talking circles around Shinsuke because obviously he's a foreigner and he can't talk, and Baron Corbin is probably doing whatever. Point is we expected more from this match. We really did, and enough. It's a shame. Hopefully, they pick it up with him. But that will bring us on to the next match, which, dear God, was this a breath of fresh fucking air. I didn't think this match was going to be worth anything. I really didn't. And I was very pleasantly surprised with it. And I was not a fan before, but I am now. And I am, of course, talking about the Usos, whose day one is H, versus Breezango, the Fashion Police. And let me just go ahead and let me just say straight up that the Fashion Files skits that led up to this was possibly some of the best skits that SmackDown has done in probably the last 5 years. And those two are just high freaking hilarious. Like, really.
I really do enjoy the crap out of them.
And then, like, the Usos, who really just need to retire and go away.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but I actually enjoy their whole new mantra of how they do things.
Yeah, but what is day one-ish? Were they kind of here on day one? I don't get that. What is that thing?
That's a good question. I should say that.
Oh, hi, Sammy. But here's the and for those of you who didn't watch, this is what happened. Like Breezango comes out, and Tyler Breeze is in his janitor persona, and basically, like, for reasons that I don't quite understand, he wrestled the first half of the match as a janitor. He wrestled the middle of the match as a grandma, and he wrestled the end of the match as Tyler Breeze. And they almost won on more than one occasion.
This close.
And I actually wanted them to win, but the Usos pulled it out. And I'll say it again. This match made me a believer. I have not thought much of Tyler Breeze. Now, I've always thought that Tyler Breeze was a great talent. I've always thought that Tyler Breeze was talented. Same thing with Fandango, but they were just caught with crappy gimmicks that the old man didn't get, and they were kind of given, like, Tyler Breeze came up. And you were like, oh, man, I can't wait. I remember us having this conversation on this podcast. And you're like, oh, man, Tyler Breeze is going to do it. It's like, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I don't think you can really do this on the main roster and get away with it. And sure enough, I was right. And, he's kind of floundered, and they found each other, and now they're doing their thing now. And I dig it.
I feel like this is like SmackDown's response to the Golden Truth during that time about how we got to rise up and get them important. Or maybe they were the other reason why the Golden Truth stepped up. I couldn't tell you.
Maybe, but I mean, it worked. It was so much better. And, but unfortunately, Usos, and, it warranted enough that they had a rematch on SmackDown the week after. And they had, like, freaking the return of the roll-ups as Tyler Breeze won against Jimmy with a roll-up, and then Fandango run against Jay with a roll-up, and then impromptu tag team title match, which the Usos won, unfortunately. I hope they get it. I hope the Breezango gets a chance with the titles right now before New Day come in and take it from them. Because that would be a shame if they didn't get a chance. But at any rate, I digress. And it's time now for the annual let's come up with an excuse not to defend the women's championship, which is the 6-woman tag. We have the Welcoming Committee. Natalya Neidhart, Carmella with James Ellsworth, and Tamina Snuka versus Becky Lynch, or as we like to call her here on the show, Dame Dolph Ziggler, Charlotte, and the WWE SmackDown's Women's Champion, Naomi.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Another wasted. I feel like women's tag team matches, I feel like, are the poor excuse of not figuring out how to do a championship match without turning a title or making it sound stale. I feel like that's their answer. Like, they didn't want the women's championship to be turned. They also didn't want anyone to lose. So they made it a non-title match. They made it this. I mean, who knows? Maybe they are trying to make a thing for factions in the women's division. I don't know. But the only thing I am happy about with that match is the fact that the three faces didn't win. That was the only time that worked it.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much just another example of the women's division did not need to be split between the two rosters. They should have had one women's division that jumped rosters, and that was it. And that's what the way it should have been. It absolutely should have been that way, and that's just how it is. And this is what you get, because they had to reintroduce everyone after the Superstar shakeup. You ended up getting Tamina, who I didn't even know was drafted to Raw, but apparently was, and Charlotte, after losing Alexa Bliss and Mickie James, and that's what you get. Yeah.
Reasons.
Natalya with the sharpshooter on Becky for the win. Meh. Which brings us to KO, Kevin Owens, the new face of America, versus the internet's favorite Lego man, AJ Styles. And goddamn, this was the match of the night, right here. It was so good. It was so good. And it was everything. And even though it was a count-out finish, they did it in such a way that it was a breath of fresh air, because I'd never seen it done in that thing, which is AJ got slammed on him. Kevin Owens was working over AJ's leg throughout the entire match. They go to the outside, they brawl into one of the announcers' booths, and then they step through, or AJ's foot collapses through the booth and gets caught in a bunch of wires, and he couldn't get his feet out of the wires in time to get back into the ring. And the rest of the match was, what you would expect out of Kevin Owens and AJ Styles. We have been waiting for this match since the brand split. This is the match that you wanted, because Kevin Owens and AJ Styles at one point were the world title holders back at Survivor Series. They were in each other's faces saying, my title's the real title. No, my title's the real title. I'm the face that runs this place. Well, this is a Kevin Owens show. And that was the match we wanted back at Survivor Series. And although it's only for the U.S. stinky title, they made it work. This was my match of the night. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I think it was just a great way to also still have KO still win the title, keep the title without him blowing his load on a small time pay-per-view.
So that we can extend that feud there, boy. So we can extend that feud. Because there's going to be another pay-per-view that we're going to do. Money in the Bank is the pay-per-view. Although, no, I guess not, because I guess all of these guys are in the Money in the Bank ladder match, aren't they?
True. This is their side pack. Which is so weird, because this is usually the one that we were talking about, how this needs to be a universal thing. It raises so many questions about what is going to happen with the Money in the Bank. Does that mean the guy on SmackDown winning the Money in the Bank can go over to Raw and claim the title, or is it exclusive to Max SmackDown only?
I don't know. They're the way these bookings go. They're really dodgy about this stuff.
I feel like someone's just doing it at the flight of their pants, and then
But I mean, this is the same thing where, apparently the Money in the Bank doesn't just mean that you get your own title match. It means you can arbitrarily add yourself to a title match. Yeah. So, it is what it is. But Kevin Owens over AJ Styles to retain the United States Championship. It was a count-out victory, so it felt a little cheap. But, it is what it is. And at least it was done creatively. Which brings us to Luke Harper versus Eric Rowan.
I think this is the first time I'm ever going to have you do this, what you're about to do right now, just for this, because this is one of your favorite wrestlers.
Luke Harper deserves better than this. And the match was fine.
Even Eric Rowan.
Eric Rowan deserves better than this, but they were put between the best match of the night and the main event. And, yep, there we go. There we are. There's my second beer of the night. It's triple bock, by the way, for those of you who are asking. I do, as I'm recording this, I do take pictures and record what beers that I'm drinking while I'm on the podcast, which I will put this down in just a second. But it was, the crowd was gassed, and we had already kind of seen this one on SmackDown when Eric Rowan won via a, what was it? It was a freaking eye rake.
Pretty much.
That's what it was, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Nope.
What was that deal with him talking to his mask, though?
They're trying to make him crazy. They're trying to make him like the modern day Al Snow, I guess.
Or Kane, maybe? They're trying to do a Kane thing with the mask? I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. Like, he was like going around the pre-show. Like, if you watch the pre-show, he kept walking onto camera at various points and messing with Pete Rosenberg and just staring at him and just ripping up masks and stuff and just, I don't know.
He was also wearing different masks every time too. That was so weird.
I don't know. He had like the clown mask, and
I mean they were all sheeps, but
and he had the steampunk sheep mask, and it was just one of those really weird things here. That was just, it was too much, and this should have been a pre-cook match.
Yeah,
it was a pre-cook. It was a palate cleanser, is what it was, and that's unfortunate
because they were trying to downplay, of course, the next match.
Which of course the next match is for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the only World Heavyweight Championship, might I add. No matter what they try and say and pass off with us with that goddamn Universal red belt, this is the one. This is the real belt. This is the big one. This is the one with all the prestige. This is the one that goes all the way back to the NWA and to the WWE and the WWF and the WWF and the NWA and all over the place, and was combined with the AWA belt. This is the one with all of the wrestling history behind it. And it is the main event tonight with Randall Q. Orton, again, versus Jinder Mahal.
Don't know the gender.
And the match started with Randy Orton just beating the crap out of Jinder before anything even happened.
Yep, went right after him. And you would think the Singh brothers would join in on defending that because the bell didn't ring yet, so it's not like they were going to get in trouble for count out.
That seemed a little auspicious there, Singh brothers. Like, it was like, you guys could have jumped in at any point here. You know, that would have been nice, but no, you don't want to? All right, sure. Whatever, man.
I wonder if they were in the same class. I wonder if they were in the same classroom for interference as the woman who stopped that football player at WrestleMania from coming to the ring because he didn't know that was the guy.
Well, no, because Gronk is rock stupid, and apparently, in real life, Kurt Hawkins and Mojo Rawley are having a little Twitter feud right now, which Kurt Hawkins flat out said, "You know, you only have a job because you're Gronk's friend, right?"
I feel like these little Twitter feuds are designed to be the modern day way of getting a feud out there, so that way they can actually have it presented.
But they're on separate brands. Like, apparently Mojo is on Raw. Do you remember when that happened?
No.
Like, apparently he's on Raw now.
When did that happen?
I don't know, but apparently it's a thing that happened. No. I don't know. But we digress again. Because, I mean, Jesus God. I mean, and then the bell finally rang, and it was a surprisingly straight-up match. Like, Jinder had his good spots. Randy did his Randy thing. And it wasn't until towards the very end
Dandy.
when the Singh brothers got involved And then once the Singh brothers got involved, there was, of course, the one that everyone memed when he threw one of the Singh brothers over the announce table, kind of really awkwardly, and like he cringed. He made that little
like he died almost.
He made that. He made that little cringe face. It's like, oops, oh well, I guess I accidentally,
killed a Singh brother.
Killed a Singh brother, and then.
All right, let's cut to the chase. Jinder Mahal fucking won. Let's make that a topic right now. Jinder Mahal motherfucking won. The Rahamaja won that match.
I am Jack's disbelief.
I love it. I'm in love. I love the shakeup. I feel like this is a great segue. The news you gave me yesterday, I'm still absorbing. I'm not even mad about that if it is the case. However, Jinder Mahal, I feel like if publicity-wise, I totally get the process. The system-wise, I totally get why they put him behind there. The politics-wise, I totally get why they put him on there.
Let's back up.
I just hope it's a payout for them, though.
Let's back up for a second and let's finish up the pay-per-view because we are going to get to Jinder Mahal as a close-up subject. It is the subject right after this because we need to talk about Jinder overarching and all that stuff that you just mentioned. So Jinder Mahal, of course, yes, he won. He became the 50th man ever to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which of course doesn't actually make sense because it's like a bunch of combined championships. But just go with it. Just go with it, guys. But he's world champion. What the fuck do you think of that? And that's how we ended with Jinder Mahal
I don't know what the
champion.
Deal is. It's not like his kind hasn't won before.
Canadian?
Yeah. What do you think I was talking about, weirdo?
I don't know. He's Canadian to me, man.
He was from Vancouver, so we're somewhere around there.
But that brings us to the end of the pay-per-view.
I mean, when was the last Canadian that won the world WWE title? Not the Universe, obviously. That's Kevin Owens.
The world title was Bret Hart, wasn't it?
No, the last Canadian who had the belt.
No. I guess it was Chris Jericho, wasn't it?
I believe. Well, it's probably a little bit more between them because isn't Edge also Canadian?
Yeah, Edge and Christian both, and yeah, it's technically also the big gold belt as well. So you have to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was Backlash. What do you think? What do you give it as a letter grade?
Well, it had some good points, but I still stick into my guns on how boring that show was. It wasn't like it wasn't so involved. But that Kevin Owens match definitely saved a lot of that, and the fact that they did do the twist with Jinder Mahal winning, because everyone was all about how Randy Orton is going to win. There's no way they're going to give it to him. They're just doing this to please the market for the Indian Open market, hopefully. But they gave it to him. They gave the title to Jinder Mahal. And, no joke, 5 days in, 5 weeks ago, if you were to say that to somebody, they'd laugh because the nickname for him was Jobber Mahal before all this happened. Yep. So, this is a great story of how how easily the WWE will give promises to people if that means they're going to make, good on their end. So going forward, I'm actually gonna do a duality because of Jinder. Don't hinder the Jinder. It's B+.
B-.
I respect that.
The only thing, Shinsuke and Dolph was flat. The Fashion Police was surprisingly good. The 6-women tag was garbage. KO versus AJ was the match of the night. Harper versus Rowan, you could have done without. And Jinder's surprise win was great. And so, I mean, it's a B-, a little bit better than average, but not by much. Which means, as far as my winner goes this week, my winner this time, for the first time ever since we started doing the head-to-head, Raw has won a heads up. For me. For you, I think you've gone back and forth a couple of times.
I have, only because I believe there is some biasness with you, I see, when it comes to how you pick. So that's how I think of it.
I just don't put up with their bullshit. That's pretty much it. But now we need to talk about the larger picture, which is Jinder Mahal world champion. Now, the reason why we're separating this out is because we need to talk about it a little bit. So this is what basically is happening. Jinder Mahal is the world champion because basically they are trying to open up to the market in India. And even though he's Canadian, he's of Indian descent. I do believe he's a practicing Indi. That's why they also brought in the Bollywood.
They called them Indo-Canadians.
Right, exactly. And I mean, he's a good guy. He's done a lot of work. He was in 3MB before this, but it's kind of a jarring. But it was kind of a jarring uprise, isn't it? Like he was like the guy who lost to El Torito in the in like the WLC match or way back when.
Well, I mean, I think it's only fair if we're only gonna talk about WWE history, yeah, it's kind of off. But I think he did very well in the Indies coming before he came back. You know,
he did,
so I'm not sure.
But then he came back and he was job guy. He was hard body Mahal next to Handsome Rusev.
They say that they plan these things months or years in advance. Maybe this was their throughway. They said, "Hey, we need to put you in the low life for a little bit, but we're gonna push you once we know we're ready for that market." You know, that could have been the thing. You know, that's how it goes.
I don't think it was, because he literally came out of nowhere. He was jobbing to Finn Balor 1 week on Raw, and then just out of nowhere, he's #1 contender. Now, granted, what he was alluding to is that I've read on some of the dirt sheets that the plan, right, as of right now, for Jinder Mahal is apparently they want him to stay champion through the Royal Rumble until he drops to Big Max John.
God, all sorts of wrong in that comment.
And, you know, a lot can happen. The ratings have been slipping. We were talking about earlier how it's a wrestling freaking hangover these days. And ratings are like 40% down across the board. And, but it's one of these things where I like Jinder. I have nothing against him. Except that this whole thing doesn't make sense. Like, it's so out of nowhere. Like, you've got, like, Sami Zayn. It looks like they were grooming Baron Corbin to be the guy, and now, apparently, because of this, they backed off of Baron Corbin as being the guy. Because he was supposed to be...
Now he's Sami Zayn fighting.
It's exactly. And, you know, it's one of these things where, you know, I hope they do well by it, but I hope I hope they actually take him seriously as a world champion. I hope they go
honor bound, yeah.
Because what I don't want to see is Jinder Mahal being champion just because it's a marketing tool, because that's not fucking wrestling. That's fucking TNA Impact kind of bullshit. But if and you know, he had a okay match. He had a decent match with Randy Orton, and he has to do this rematch coming up at the next pay-per-view at Money in the Bank with Randy Orton. Okay, fair enough. And if they're gonna stick with this, they need to get him in there with somebody who he can have an actual match with, which is going to be Sammy or it's going to be AJ. Probably going to be.
I don't think they're going to pull the AJ card that quickly.
I don't think they're going to do either, because nobody's going to buy Jinder Mahal can beat AJ Styles.
Not yet, at least.
No, and this is a hope, you know. And hey, I mean, it certainly lends credence to SmackDown Live as the land of opportunity.
True.
You know, there is that. So, and that's going to about do it for this time. We would like to go ahead and we'd like to thank All Around the Beats for our opening theme. We would like to thank Michette for our closing theme. I know we had I'm probably going to have it up here at some point. We had a mashup. We would like to thank that person for the mashup. And coming up,
person. And
coming up next, we will indeed have just this coming weekend. Christ, which one is it? What are they calling it? Extreme Rules. Why the frick are they going to have a no DQ a DQ match at Extreme Rules if you get DQ'd?
Here's the bullshit. You know that whole Vince Russo-esque kind of match when it comes to the Raw Women's Champion, where it's a kendo stick on a pole. The stipulation is, when during that whole "This Is Your Life" thing, which was that happened on Monday Night Raw. Which, by the way, folks, if you didn't know what that is, please go find it. It is probably the worst attempt at trying to do a recreation of The Rock. "This Is Your Life."
Don't go find it. You don't want to do that to yourself.
The people must know.
People don't need to know. Just run from it. If somebody says, "Hey, watch this up," no, run. Alexa, boo. Alexa, you deserve better. I'd give you better.
He explains the stipulation, and that is whoever gets the chance to grab the kendo stick from the pole is the only one that could legally wield it and use it in the match. That means if they take the kendo stick from the other player and hit you, you are disqualified. So there you go. There is one.
Wow, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
And then after that is Money in the Bank, and then after that is Great Balls of Fire. Yes, that is still a real pay-per-view name.
Now, are they going to do some kind of MITDB on Great Balls? Because that would be not cool if it's only just SmackDown.
No, not to my knowledge.
Maybe
Maybe the champion
is the one who has the big balls, and the big balls gets to go whenever he wants. I don't know.
Well, the Great Balls of Fire is when Brock Lesnar is going to defend his belt against whoever wins this 5-pack challenge. So there's your thing. So at any rate, you can go ahead if you'd like to throw us a question. If you'd like to comment or throw anything our way, I am at Faded Saint and on Twitter. You can also stop by commysite.tumblr.com and ask me a question there. We have a Discord. That Discord will be in the description down below. Feel free to pop on in. I'm in there all the time. There's some other people in there. I'm more than happy to chat with you if you want to say hi, ask me a question, do anything. And God damn it. We got like another pay-per-view and then like what? It's 3 weeks away from another pay-per-view?
It's going to be a very exhausting year. Just say a very exhausting year. But I do want to say one thing before we head off, folks. Usos, no matter if you don't like them or not, they are doing some really sick promos. Someone's letting them walk. Someone's letting them talk. They are not doing this from a script.
Their day is definitely their day one is definitely H.
Yeah.
Their day one is definitely.
Well, guess who came?
Oh, I'm pretty sure the new day just showed up.
Yes, they did.
Well, with that said, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get to watching the rest of SmackDown. I'm your boy, Coming the Faded Saint. That is my boy Kane Super. What Snooker saying? We'll see you on the next podcast.
Later, folks.